Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Market Down Podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined this week by Chad Big Bad Johnson and James Asante, once again going over the latest episode of AEW Dynamite. And we start at the top of the card with the headliner of the entire show, Luigi Primo, back on Dynamite. My guy, he was actually there as a part of the Jericho Appreciation Society's celebration of one Chris Jericho winning the Ring of Honor World Championship the other week. They used Luigi to help piss off the crowd, both Danny Magic asking the crowd if they wanted pizza, Luigi saying he was going to make a New York pizza in Philly. But I mean, come on, Philly, your pizza sucks.
It's true.
It's true.
And so does your baseball team. So does your baseball team.
There's a lot of shitting on Philly today, and as a Mets fan, I was very happy about it. They're also like tied in the 8th or 9th right now, and I'm panicking, but that's besides the point. Anyway, Daddy Magic pisses off the crowd by saying that they won't be getting any of this delicious New York pizza, and then Anna yells a bunch because that's her character now, and I'm still really annoyed about that.
Awful.
I don't like it.
They just completely degraded her character into screaming chick, and it's driving me crazy.
Yep.
But that's for another time. Jericho then announces the Ring of Jericho era. He introduces his match with Bandito later on that night for said title. And then he introduces Ring of Honor Pure Champion Danny Garcia. Jericho has a gift for Garcia, and he pulls out a bucket hat of the color of whatever crushed velvet suits they're wearing. Guys, blue or purple suits?
That was purple.
It was purple.
When you see the Joker, what do you see?
Joker is purple, but I'm pretty sure he's only purple because people tell me he's purple.
I don't have time. I don't have the ability to deal with this right now.
It honestly kind of depends on like what color they make the purple. It's really confusing. Anyway, it's a purple bucket hat, and Jericho puts it on Garcia's head. Garcia takes it off, throws it on the ground, knocks Luigi Primo the fuck out. Poor guy.
Thank God. Thank God.
2 weeks in a row now, I think, or at least 2 of his past appearances now that he's been knocked out.
Yep.
And Garcia says he wants to get something off his chest. He's about to say that it's time for him to, and then Jericho cuts him off, telling him to think very hard about what he's about to say, because if he's going to leave the JAS, then Jericho will destroy him. Jericho then asks Garcia if he's a wrestler or a sports entertainer. And before Garcia can answer, Bryan Danielson comes to the ring. Regal comes out with him and apparently headed straight to commentary, which should have been a bit of a hint to all of us. Bryan says that Garcia is an adult and can make any decision he wants, whether it's to stay with the JAS or come to the BCC and train with them or whatever he wants to do. And then Jericho cuts Bryan off, saying that Garcia belongs to him and that Garcia will do whatever Jericho wants him to do. Garcia steps to Jericho all pissed off and says nobody tells him what to do, and then just starts making a point by throwing pizzas around and asking Justin Roberts if he wants to be a tag team because he's trying to be entertaining. And then the only real entertaining part of the only real entertaining part of that was him asking if the crowd wanted to see him and Bryan Danielson team up against Jericho and Sammy Guevara, to which the crowd was very amenable. 2.0 then gets involved, and Daddy Magic calls Garcia ungrateful, saying they plucked him from obscurity, and now and then asked if he was going to turn his back on everything they did for him. Then Daddy Magic says he should punch Bryan in the face right there, to which Bryan responds that he has permission from Tony Khan to face any member of the Jericho Appreciation Society right there and then in Philadelphia. And after a minute or two, the match gets underway. And we'll deal with the match in a second. But Chad, this was a kind of an entertaining promo. It was a bit of a train wreck at points, but it was like a fun train wreck.
Right. I mean, it was very discombobulated at some of the seams, but for the most part, it was fun. I'm with you guys. I liked how they highlighted other people as opposed to just highlighting Jericho as always. So it was good to see Daniel Garcia get his feet wet a little bit promo wise and build his character a little bit. That was cool. I absolutely loathe 2.0. I know I'm supposed to, but oh my God, the Daddy Magic guy more so than the other one. He grinds my gears, but
This
he's
would
doing a
normally
good
be
job.
the part where Danny requests that I do the voice, but I'm playing hurt this week, so I'm going to refrain so I have a bit of voice for the rest of the episode.
Yeah,
You
I can't
want a
stand those
taste?
guys.
You want a taste?
That's not bad.
Thank you.
Okay, James, kudos. That was pretty good.
Maybe I'll just learn. Maybe I'll just learn Cool Hand Ninja's accent, and you could do Daddy Magic. The height works too there, so.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that's really all I had promo wise.
Yeah. James, I thought you pointed out something really good in our group chat where I was very happy too that they got 2.0 involved in this angle again, because it's not just Garcia and Jericho. 2.0, as they pointed out, were his mentors there for a really long time. They had a really big feud with Eddie Kingston. So like there's a lot of history between them. And I was happy that they played upon that fact, which is something I think we all know AEW is very good at doing.
The reality is they were the unit before the Jericho Appreciation Society was a thing. Like the joke was they were his two dads. Like they were his two dads. Brian may have been a third dad, but they were his two dads. And I'm really glad that they acknowledged that here, because this is way more of a breakup with them than it is with him and Jericho. Like the Jericho connection only happened with the Jericho Appreciation Society. Now, granted, there is real life history with Jericho and Garcia. When Garcia got hurt and he was in that car accident that like really hurt him and he needed money for surgery, Jericho donated to Garcia's hospital bills.
I believe they mentioned that at one point.
They did. So I don't want to say that the Jericho connection is like just kayfabe, because it's not true. But storyline wise, there is a much bigger connection between Garcia and 2.0. So I'm glad that got acknowledged here. It was a nice little nod to history, and I feel like I would have been annoyed if they didn't. So all good here. Was Jake Hager in the ring?
He was not. I do not know where he is. He could be training for a fight.
He could be, but how much does it say that I didn't know one way or the other?
You didn't notice the really tall, jacked white dude wasn't in the ring?
Which one?
Well, he's taller than all of them by a lot.
I know. But Sammy Guevara didn't say anything at all. And man, Anna Jay just needs to stop.
Absolutely. I forgot to mention that. She needs to.
I am a big fan of Anna Jay.
I know. Yeah, I think you're with me on this, where you're just disappointed with what they did with her.
She's
been reduced to nothing. With screaming.
She really needs to revamp a little bit. It's awkward. It derails the rest of like the segment and everyone else's flow. So I hope that they could figure her out, because I like the idea of Anna JAS. That is very sports entertaining. It's stupid funny or stupid whatever, but there is something there. It's just she does not seem like she's equipped yet to handle it. So give it time, I hope, and maybe a little lessons from people who are a little more experienced than her. But right now it is not working. And Ty Conti was just eating pizza.
Honestly, of all the people who didn't talk, the Sammy and Ty stuff in the background was kind of funny. If you were just
it was, but Ty is too good to just be background humor.
Oh, I agree. And so it's Sammy too, although Sammy's been fighting a lot more. I cannot remember the last match Ty has had. And actually I can, but it was a mixed tag match with Sammy. She hasn't had a singles match in what feels like forever, or to like tagged with Anna or something, like she hasn't had a match strictly in the women's division in what feels like forever. Maybe she should face Jade for the title. And like that's what it feels like.
And I'm with you. Now is the perfect time to tag her with Anna.
Yeah.
If anything.
Exactly. And let them branch out other than just being, Sammy's eye candy, which obviously I know she is more than that in real life, but in the show, that's pretty much what she is. And Anna's just, screaming eye candy. So I don't know what they're doing with either of them. Hopefully, perhaps, this new invigoration in the women's division, which we'll get to in a bit, and Well, that's being, optimistic, but hopefully that maybe drives something and gives them something to do other than just be in the Jericho Appreciation Society.
Yeah.
But we'll see. It's very disappointing. It was disappointing when they put Anna with the Jericho Appreciation Society seemingly out of nowhere, and is absolutely led to nothing, and it's only disappointing.
I like the idea of keeping Anna and Ty friends. Like, I do like that aspect of it, but it hasn't benefited them yet. There's no reason that they're friends right now. But like, I know I've talked about it nonstop that I want a women's tag division, and I'm not saying that is necessary right now. Like, I'm not bringing it up for that, but there's no reason for these women to be interacting. They're not a team. They don't wrestle as a team. They don't have segments where they're important to the story. They're just there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a whole lot of whatever.
The only thing they do is interfere in Sammy Guevara matches.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's literally it. And it's annoying.
It really is.
I don't know. I honestly, look, if they wanted to do, and I know I'm getting in the weeds here, if they wanted to do this whole Anna JAS thing, maybe, they should have had her and Ty feud for like a couple of matches and then have her join if like she loses because Ty keeps cheating and she gets frustrated, like, and sees the quote unquote light. I would have, accepted that a bit more, other than just Ty sees her backstage, basically tells her to get it the fuck together, and Anna's like, okay, and joins with her.
I completely agree.
It was flimsy. It was flimsy when they did it. I was upset and honestly a bit worked. And then I liked Anna in the Dark Order.
I know.
And now we have this just absolute horrificness. So it's disappointing all around. And speaking of disappointing, Bryan Danielson fought Daddy Magic, and this match was fairly uneventful and, all things considered, maybe a bit long, depending on how you power rank one Bryan Danielson against one Daddy Magic Matt Menard. The highlights of this match came at the end when Bryan was tossed to the outside. Daddy Magic distracted the ref. Cool Hand Ange DDTs Bryan on the outside and then throws him back into the ring. Bryan kicks out of the pin, but then Claudio comes down, uppercuts the hell out of Cool Hand Ange, and literally carries him to the back. After that, Bryan hits a Psycho knee, locks into the bell lock, and picked up the pretty obvious win here. So I don't know about you guys. I don't have much to say about this match other than it happened.
I hate Uncle Sorcery, or whatever the fuck his name is.
Jesus Christ. The hatred.
He makes me sick.
That sounds like a Cartoon Network character in like Adventure Time or something.
It actually does. But
Uncle Sorcery here.
Good one. But yeah, I mean, the match was it was longer than it needed to be. The highlight of it for me was when it was over. Sorry, Bryan. It just kind of didn't hit for me. But I always like seeing Bryan, so whatever. I'll take that W and move along.
Yeah, it was weird too, because they do make a point, and hell, even Taz made a point of this on commentary. When a tag guy faces, a singles competitor in a singles match, it's usually the single guy has an advantage because the tag guy isn't necessarily used to fighting by himself. And between that, and as much as I love Daddy Magic, like, I don't think power ranking wise he's as high of a tier as Bryan is. This match probably went a little longer than it should have. Like, Bryan probably should have put it away a bit quicker. I understand there was some underhand tactics by Daddy Magic that maybe made it go a bit further, but I don't know. This, like, I agree, Chad. This didn't hit, and James, the best part was Claudio carrying Cool Hand Ange to the back.
Absolutely. Best part, even a little bit of Claudio goes a long way, and I love it. I could take as much Claudio as you can give me, but this was an amazing little fun spot with him.
Hey, yo.
I said what I said, and I meant what I said. Damn it. Anyway, I know a lot of people were disappointed with this match. A lot of people kind of wanted a squash match where Bryan just looked great against Daddy Magic. But we should know better at this point that Bryan likes making guys look good. Bryan likes highlighting his opponents. And, Daddy Magic is a good wrestler. He's used just as a comedy guy, but he is good. And I'm glad that he had an opportunity to, at the very least, flex some muscles on Dynamite. And
That's
the right
true.
guy won. Brian still won, so it was good.
Yeah, I will grant you that. It was nice seeing him wrestle on Dynamite, which he doesn't often get to do. He's either relegated to Rampage or one of the Darks on YouTube. So it was good to see him on Dynamite, not in a big 5-man or 6-man tag or.
You guys like Cousin Voodoo, don't you?
Yes, I do. He's funny, man, and I like both.
He is funny.
I like both of 2.0, but just I get what you're saying, and especially about Brian. And it was nice to see him do a bit better than maybe he should have. But but that's the way Tony books his matches for the most part. So perhaps I should have known better. All right, moving right along here, we had a video package for the Moxley versus Juice Robinson match later in the show. It was and pointed out the fact that Juice pinned Moxley for the IWGP US Championship. I think, James, he's like one of the only 2 or 3 people to beat Moxley clean this year.
2 people have beaten Moxley this year, or 2 people have pinned Moxley this year. And that's Voldemort and Juice Robinson.
Yeah, so a lot of people, when this match was announced on Instagram and Twitter and such, were kind of upset and like, why the hell is Juice Robinson getting a shot at Moxley? And a lot of people thought it was for the title. It wasn't. It was the title eliminator. But Tony Khan made a point to say that we will be showing video packages explaining why Juice is getting this match, why Bandito was getting his match against Chris Jericho. And I thought that was very smart of them. In general, and perhaps they should do it a bit more. After this, we had an MJF promo coming out of break. It started with a video package going over what happened between him and Wheeler Yuta at Grand Slam last week, where him and Yuta got in a bit of a brawl, and MJF pushed Tony Schiavone, which was bad and horrific.
Piece of shit.
James wanted to kill a bitch, choke a bitch. That's what I was looking for. Anyway,
both are fair.
Yeah.
Both are fair.
Before the promo even starts, Wheeler comes down to the ring and says there's a problem between him and MJF because MJF put his hands on Tony. So don't worry, James. Wheeler, you just got your back. Wheeler called MJF out for a fight, saying MJF will probably run and hide like he always does, whether it's behind the inner circle, behind the pinnacle, or behind the microphone. MJF then comes out in an absolutely gorgeous Tom Seaver jersey because they're in Philly and let's go Mets, and they just didn't cash in the bottom of the 9th right now, and I'm pissed. So I think they're in extras. Anyway, and he talks a bunch of shit to Schiavone before returning to Wheeler. Max says that he's fought in Yuta up and down the indies and considers him one of the best wrestlers in the world, but then goes into a shit about having more money than everybody else and not giving a shit, and talk shit about the Phillies, which only made him face for me. And Wheeler was very happy that he said Max was going to say something about the Phillies, and he was right. He was like, hey, he did the Philly thing. So Max does his usual shtick, and then he's going to start his catchphrase, but then Wheeler cuts him off and says if MJF won't fight him right there and then, he'll leave MJF in a pool of blood on Broad Street because bad things happen to people in Philly, which is true.
Very true.
If you don't believe me, there's this great documentary called The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You should go watch it.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Anyway, that was rich.
This scares the shit out of MJF. Wheeler hops out of the ring and starts going up the ramp, but the Ass Boys come to protect him. MJF says he doesn't do brawls, but he'll wrestle Wheeler next week in DC because he refuses to wrestle in Philly. My guy. He then decides that Philly, and again, my guy, doesn't deserve his catchphrase. Says he's going up to his press box to watch the Moxley match, and then has the Ass Boys do his catchphrase for him.
Poorly, might I add.
Well, yeah, it's the
poorly.
Ass, so it's going to be ass. So, James, I think Wheeler came across pretty well here. I'm sure some people will disagree, cough Eric, but he's vastly improved on the microphone, and I think he did a really good job of playing to his hometown crowd.
No, I agree. I mean, look, I think it's fair to say, I think we could all agree.
Oh, I do believe we.
Mic work is not his specialty. He excels as a wrestler. No, wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're here. Your video is just lagged.
Oh boy, I'm sorry, guys.
You're back.
Is it even worth talking?
Yeah, no, you're back.
You're good now.
You're back.
Okay. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Look, we all recognize Wheeler Yuta's strengths are as a wrestler. It's not as a mic guy, as a promo guy. We want to see him wrestle. I don't need to see him talk. He flubbed a little bit here and there, but he's showing way more personality than he ever has in the past.
He had a brutal voice crack too.
He did. And it's going to come with time. Yeah. It'll come with time. You know, a lot of the greats took time to become good mic guys. Truth be told, I don't think Bryan Danielson became a good mic guy until after his retirement.
Yeah.
So
that's fair.
It takes time for a lot of these guys. And I think he had some good lines. I think he looks like a good fighter, like he wants to fight, which is exactly why he's in the Blackpool Combat Club. And I think this was a much better segment as it went on. I think it started a little rough. I think it got better as it progressed. And I think that's a nice indicator of Yuta in general. It's a little rough in the beginning, but he's getting better. And I'm happy to see that. And, MJF just sucks, so screw him.
He's face tonight, baby.
He's face every night. That's the problem. Like they need to figure out what they're going to do with him because these crowds don't want to boo him.
Yeah, they don't boo him until he specifically insults them.
Oh, of course, and like they booed him tonight. They did. Yeah. They did the shut the up. I'm gonna bleep myself just like AEW bleeped all the cursing tonight.
No swearing.
No swearing. Thank you, Nick Housen. But yeah,
You're welcome.
They are booing him, but it's not their default. He's got to work harder to get booed. And I'm sure he's up for the challenge. I'm sure he's excited to really flex those muscles. But at a certain point, you're going against the fans, and that's not a good idea. And I'm not saying I want MJF to turn face because fuck him, but it's a very interesting dynamic they're going to have to work with moving forward. And the people he goes against are the ones who are really going to suffer. A Wheeler Yuta, who, if this was almost any other heel, would look like roses. He doesn't here. It's hard to excel against MJF, who's already so good. And it's harder when the crowd wants to cheer MJF. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I'm intrigued by what comes next. This feud should end next week. I don't think we need to see Yuta versus MJF go past this. And it definitely feels like it's just a placeholder until MJF is going for the title. It's keeping him BCC adjacent.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think it is. I think it's keeping him, like you said, BCC adjacent is actually the perfect phrase for it. It keeps him involved with them in the Moxley, stratosphere, while not having him directly engage. And I think it gives Wheeler a good rub too. He's not necessarily going toe to toe with MJF on the mic, but he seems to be holding his own. And I think it's pretty obvious that, like you said, James, Wheeler's strength is in the ring.
Yes.
And MJF's strength is probably, at least in kayfabe, is more on the mic. Wheeler even pointed that out, saying he's going to hide behind this, being the microphone. So I'm liking this so far, Chad. I think, like maybe James said, Wheeler isn't coming out as strongly as he could, perhaps against somebody who's more of a heel, because everyone wants to cheer MJF so much. But he's still coming out looking really good here, especially after what happened later.
Okay, so I hate to be Team Eric, so I won't be. But I will say that I did not enjoy this as much as you guys, or almost at all. However, with that being said, I have to agree with James. This is what you're supposed to do. You have to build him. He has to have promos. He has to build his mic shit up. So, why not give him a chance? We just got a good Jungle Boy promo recently, and he's been doing it for a while. So it's necessary to build this guy. But yes, I do. I'm sorry. I only want to see him in the ring. I'd like to see him in the ring. He's a great wrestler, great fighter. I'd keep him away from the mic, but I know that you can't do that when you're trying to build somebody. And I see shades of charisma. I do. I see personality. I see potential, and I see star power. It just, they got to grind and pressure it to make that diamond, which I'm fine with. I think this was actually a poor showing for MJF as well. It kind of just didn't. I mean, it actually made him look weaker. It just didn't. I'm with James. The feud doesn't need to go beyond next week because, again, this just needs to be Mox and Cox adjacent, and then after that, dish it away.
It might go through at least, I think, maybe the Hangman match, which I think is in 2 weeks. So maybe they'll do something when they after. Oh no, yeah. So they'll go next week and then DC. Yeah, it'll be fine. Never mind. I can't do math. Honestly, no. I thought this was gonna be a hot take because I was gonna say I think MJF is kind of leaning, not getting stale, but he's leaning a little too hard on his,
catchphrases.
Not even the catchphrases, like the shtick of just I have money, the people here suck or poor or stupid. It's kind of maybe getting a little repetitive, and perhaps that's why things aren't landing the way they usually are with him. Now, granted, he's not working with Cody or CM Punk or people he can really play off of and or Kingston or, get and really go after. But at the same time, you can't hit the same notes every week. You got to be a little more creative with it.
But I also think they are overexposing him a little bit.
Absolutely.
I get that he's one of the hottest acts in wrestling right now. I get that he's such a popular guy and a popular topic, but you get to a point. It's like you said, there's only so much to say before you start repeating yourself. I felt the same way about other greats too. Paul Heyman, when he was doing his thing every week promoting Brock, it became exhausting. Mm-hmm. And I'm not there with MJF. I don't find him exhausting, but I am getting to that point a little bit where I see, okay, yep, this is no different than what you said last week. Oh, okay, we're in Philly now, so let's make fun of Philly. But I'm better than you. I make more money than you. I'm a generational talent. I have this company by the, and I could cash this chip in whenever I want. And great. But, maybe stop saying it because it's going to be less of a surprise when you do.
Yeah, this may be a hot take, but I definitely think for the time being, MJF should absolutely shut up. And I know we all love to hear him talk, but I definitely think that now is the time where he's quiet. Like we see him during the matches and he has to say absolutely nothing. And then just cash in when you cash in and talk your shit then. I think that would just do much better right now. But I appreciate them trying to give Wheeler the rub because, he needs it. He could use it.
Yeah, I think, the devil should probably work a bit more in quiet in the shadows, and be lurking. I would have liked him. Yes, the Mets fucking won. Let's go. Sorry. Walk off in the 10th.
Nobody cares.
We care. MJF cares.
Aaron Judge tied the 61. That's the baseball news we need to be talking about. Okay.
I know, but you guys already clinched it. Who cares?
Did you guys not clinch it?
No, because the Atlanta's, we were tied with them coming into the day or into the night. So we needed that win. Whatever. And we face Atlanta starting Friday, I think. Look, I don't even know where we were. MJF, right? Being kind of stale. I think
nobody cares. Let's move on.
Yeah, I agree. He's just The Rock was able to say the same thing every week and make it entertaining and keep it fresh, right?
Absolutely.
MJF can still hit all of his catchphrases. He can still call the crowd out and everything. He's just got to keep it creative and fresh and put new spins on it. Otherwise, he's gonna get stale.
Yeah, and if not, keep it minimal.
Yeah, exactly.
Saying less is much more sometimes.
Yeah,
I agree.
Move in the shadows. Keep him in those luxury boxes, lurking above everything Moxley does. or whoever the champ is, who's probably just going to be Moxley for now.
And
Yeah.
then also, we won't have to worry about if he's a face or a heel if he's not talking.
Yeah,
that's a great
it's
point.
mysterious.
Yeah, because the crazy thing is, when he cashes this thing in, I mean, I know what happens every time with Money in the Bank, but when he cashes this thing in, he's going to get cheered like crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. I don't know if it's him who's going to be getting cheered or the moment will be getting cheered, because it's an oh my god moment.
Yeah,
you know,
well, that's not fair because nobody wanted anyway. I was going to say like Rollins when he did it, but no one wanted either of those guys to win. I'm trying to think of a good heel cash in off the top of my head, and I really can't,
guess
Baron Corbin on Jinder Mahal. Nobody gave a shit about the two guys.
Oh
nobody cared about Corbin. Nobody cared about Jinder, but it's a cash in, and they did it well because Corbin messed up the cash in.
Yeah.
So it's an example of the moment is bigger than the people involved, and that's saying a lot considering who MJF.
Yeah, and like both of these people are really big, and James freezes again. Oh, there you are, James. So I don't know. I think it's going to be difficult with him when he does cash in, even if they are just cheering the moments. I think there's a good chance he can go out there, literally freaking shoot Moxley's kneecap and still probably get cheered. So it's going to be tough, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do. But let's move on. We spent a lot of time on this. Jon Moxley versus Juice Robinson in the aforementioned title eliminator match. Commentary made a very good point, as we mentioned earlier, that Juice is one of the only two people to pin Moxley. James, you're still kind of frozen. Sorry.
My bad, guys. I'm fixing it on my end.
You're back in. I know what cable company you have, and they're awful. It's not your fault. They also made a point that Juice, while he's continuing to rep Bullet Club, faux life, Juice is a free agent. So I think that's a very interesting note. We'll see what he ends up doing in the future. This match starting with Juice jumping Moxley right out the gate before the match starts. Mox weathers the storm and is able to get it back to even. And as we headed into commercial, it was right about this point that Chad realized Juice Robinson is formerly CJ Parker of NXT.
Who knew?
Pretty much everyone.
Except for Chad.
So during the picture-in-picture, Moxley got tossed into the timekeeper area and was split open once again, so everybody drank. And eventually, Mox is able to turn the tables coming out of commercial when Juice dives off the apron at a seated Moxley, but Moxley gets out of the way and Juice goes through the chair instead. Juice is able to hit Pulp Fiction a few minutes later, but he takes his sweet-ass time going for the pinfall. Moxley kicks out. Moxley is then able to counter an airplane spin attempt into the Regal knee. And then when Juice kicks out, Moxley is able to grab his hands really quick, put on the stomps, and then quickly snapped into Juicy Katami for the win. For those of you who don't speak whatever that is, that's just an armbar, guys.
It's an impressive armbar.
It is. No, it was a very good armbar. He really bent that thing back, and I've seen some nasty armbars.
Yeah, that was rough.
They are very effective. It's the only way I've ever defeated my brother in a wrestling match. I caught him in an armbar off the side of the couch.
That's actually impressive.
But James, I'm gonna go to you first because I think, did you not like this finish? Did I read that right?
No, I wasn't the one in our chat who complained about it, but I will say I'm not crazy about the finish.
That is me.
I was you, Chad.
let me then, Chad, if you want to go, you can go for it.
No, go ahead. Go for it.
I will say I do like surprise finishes. I think finishers in wrestling are very important, but I do like when people finish matches with non-finishers. And I think any submission could be a non-finisher. That said, there was no build to it. I don't think Mox really worked the arm at all during this match. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he did.
Not particularly.
And he's never finished a match with an armbar before. So it kind of just makes Juice look bad. When you compare this match to the main event, which we'll talk about later, this was an example of bringing somebody in and it not really doing anybody any good, as opposed to the main event where everyone involved looked good and it benefited all parties. Here, this was just a win for Mox, and it could have been any member of the AEW roster. They didn't need to bring Juice in for this. I'm glad. I like Juice. I'm glad he got to wrestle on Dynamite. I'm glad that he gets a little more exposure. He's come a long way from his NXT days as CJ Parker. He's done great work in New Japan, and he deserves a little bit of shine. But that said, this wasn't it. This wasn't the shine. So I would have played this out a little bit differently. He hit his finish on Mox, and he looked good, and he got to do his bits. But I would have booked this slightly differently just to build a little more heat.
I think I would agree with that. Like Juice I think he looked fine, but I think he could have looked a lot better. He didn't look as good as he could have. I don't mind necessarily either. Not necessarily out of nowhere, but the seemingly out of nowhere submission finishes. I guess as a UFC fan, I've seen crazy shit happen.
Of course.
Where guys are just getting their absolute asses kicked and then somehow get a finisher in with 10 seconds left and tap a guy out and win the fight. Like Anderson Silva versus Chael, like that happened. And Anderson Silva got his ass kicked for 4 rounds, and then he caught Chael in the 5th and ended up winning with a submission. So like shit like that happens. I don't mind it happening. This was an instance where it wasn't, you're probably right, it wasn't necessarily built well. Like I wouldn't even mind it if Mox got his ass kicked for 15 minutes and then broke out the Juicy Katami and won out of nowhere.
For a desperation move. Yes, yeah, exactly.
Like he just caught him. You know what I mean? It's like almost like the equivalent of a really good small package where a guy just gets caught and he ends up losing. And it would have made Moxley look like a warrior and a great technician, able to fight through everything and still get the submission. And Juice would have looked great because he just kicked the shit out of the AEW champion for 15 minutes. So if that was the type of ending you could wanted to go with, I think you could have produced the match a bit differently.
I agree.
But Chad, you were saying before, you just didn't like the finish at all. Is it for reasons we mentioned, or
it is absolutely for reasons you mentioned? I think it was kind of a bailout almost. It was super weak, especially for the guy who they said beat Moxley. Like one of the only guys who beat Moxley besides, as James said, Voldemort, in the last year. So like, what the fuck? I was more amazed that the guy was CJ Parker as opposed to the match, honestly. I mean, I see a guy from Bullet Club with the R-Truth jeans, and I'm like, oh, I don't know who this guy is. That's fine. Let's see who it is. He wrestles a little bit. I'm like, oh, he's kind of good. All right. I have no strong opinion, but it's fine. The match goes longer. I'm like, he looks a little familiar. And then that realization, I was just like, oh, holy fuck. It's the Save the Planet guy from NXT. Other than that, I've got nothing. Finish was weak. I said before, Mox matches are an acquired taste, and it really depends on his opponent for me to be reeled in to the match. No offense to Mox, because I love Mox, but he's just so hard hitting sometimes that I think his matches go a little bit over the radar for me sometimes.
And that's fair, different strokes, as they say. So
yeah. I love him though. Again, I love him. No, no hate towards Mox.
Yeah, sorry about that. I feel that, and I think we've had this discussion before. Like sometimes Mox matches just aren't necessarily, the type of matches we want to see, and that's totally fair. That happens to me with a lot of guys, but it is what it is. All right, let's keep it rolling. So after a video package for the Jericho Bandito title match, which I mentioned earlier, where they explain that Bandito never, James, I said he never got his rematch for the Ring of Honor World title.
He never lost the title.
Right, that's what it was. Would he get stripped in the pandemic?
He had COVID, and then the match was supposed to be him versus Jonathan Gresham, but he was stripped of the title, so they had a vacant match. It was Gresham versus Jay Lethal. Gresham won. Eventually, they had a match, Gresham versus Bandito, and Gresham won that match, but he never had a rematch for the title.
So that match versus Gresham wasn't for the title.
Yes. No. So
It was
I
not
must.
for the title.
He was not stripped of the title. I take that back. They had made Gresham an interim champion. And then they had a champion versus champion match to decide who was the true Ring of Honor champion. Gresham won that match. But then Bandito got a rematch for the title.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But commentary had a tough job of explaining this because they very clearly did not want to mention Gresham tonight.
Mm.
It was very clear that Gresham was a do not talk about subject.
Yeah, there's quite a few
confusing
people.
Over there.
Despite how well he did in the PWI 500.
Yeah, there are a lot of people on that list right now, and it's just it's getting a bit longer. You could even see, like, when they did the Moxley video package earlier, they completely cut Punk out of it. They did no mention of him winning back the title or unifying the title after he was interim champion. Like, just kind of glossed over it really quick. And the Elite are just persona non grata. They don't exist right now. It's crazy.
They'll be back.
They should be back.
Neither do the trios titles, by the way. Why the fuck did you put it on? Never mind. I'm good.
Yeah. Right, because I will go batshit insane. Please move on.
Okay, let me move on really, really quick. Okay, next up we had the Saraya. Am I saying it right now?
Saraya.
The Saraya promo. She was introduced and brought to the ring by Justin Roberts. She comes down, says that she is there to create change in the women's division because she not only started the revolution, she is the revolution. Saraya then calls out all of the women in the locker room, and some of the faces trickle out, led by Toni Storm. I think it was Toni, Athena, Willow Nightingale, and Sky Blue off the top of my head. I think it was the all of them.
There was one other girl.
There was one more.
I have no idea who it was.
Oh, was it the trainer they just hired?
Madison. All right, so there's two others. All right, Madison Rain, Willow Nightingale, Athena, Toni Storm, and then there was another.
That was Sky Blue.
No, but there was a blonde girl too.
That wasn't Madison?
No. Madison was there, and then there was another blonde girl.
Oh, I didn't know who the other blonde girl was. I thought that was Madison the entire time. I didn't realize they as well. I didn't realize they pulled a switch there or whatever. It doesn't matter. Either way, they were missing a lot of people from the locker room, which I thought was kind of weird. If you're going to bring out all of the women, bring out all the women.
I mean, I really do want to discuss this because I wasn't crazy about the promo, but I don't actually, considering what Saraya's promo was, I don't blame a lot of the women for not coming out.
Yeah, I guess.
Elaborate. When you throw it to me, I'll
elaborate. You can elaborate. Anyway, Saraya goes to introduce all the women. She starts with Toni Storm, and after she gets through Toni, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, comes out, flanked by Rebel, not Reba, Jamie Hayter, and Penelope Ford. Okay. So Britt comes out, talks a bunch of shit about being the face of the division, makes a crack about Saraya's neck, and then makes a joke about how no one can pronounce her name properly, which I kind of fell into that trap at the beginning of this segment. Saraya then makes a kind of terrible joke about Britt's name rhyming with shit, which, all right, fine.
That was really bad.
Yeah.
Continue.
I think Saraya just wanted to be able to say shit on television for the first time in forever. And Chuck E. Cheese still can't say it. What the fuck is this? So, anyway, this upsets Britt. She talks some more shit and then has Serena Deeb come down for her title match against Toni Storm. And then Saraya announces that she went to Toni and that she's very happy that she has a boss that'll actually listen to her for a change. But she went to Toni, and the match will now be a lumberjack match for the title. James, I'm going to go to you since you had comments, but this was stilted.
Yes.
It was janky.
Yes.
And I understand it's Saraya's first promo back, and she probably hasn't done a promo that wasn't scripted in like 10 fucking years. And so she was understandably rusty, but woof.
I think there's a lot of things.
A general woof, not
a general woof. Yeah, general woof. I think there's a lot of things that could be said about Saraya's promo and just the promo. We'll get to the other stuff in a second, but she's cut this promo already. She cut it in WWE. She did it for what was Asuka and Kairi's tag team name, the Kabuki
Warriors.
Kabuki Warriors. like she cut this exact promo with the Kabuki Warriors.
Yep.
She cut this promo with what was it, with Absolution?
Yep, our little group.
She cut it with Absolution, and she cut it as the SmackDown general manager.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it too many times. It's the same reason a lot of Cody's promos in WWE didn't work for me, because I saw him cut them in AEW first.
Mm-hmm.
So a little rough on that regard. And I you know what? I can't entirely blame her for that, because she has the same mission here that she had in WWE. Fine. I get covering a lot of the same ground. And those promos are a few years old at this point. I'm a weirdo. I'm going to remember them, but not everyone else is. But
the internet always remembers.
The internet always remembers.
And I
mean, Saraya knows that a little too well, unfortunately.
Yikes.
I'm not proud of that, but I mean,
I'm proud.
Admittedly, I'm not really high on Saraya right now.
But, rated R, like Xavier Woods. Jesus
Christ. Anyway, I want to move on because that was terrible. I didn't like the promo, even if it was cut together better, even if it was smoother. She buried a lot of the Toni Storm, the best champion AEW has ever had.
Yeah, first of right. All, that first of all,
because she's not. But like nothing against Toni Storm.
Not true.
One, she's not even technically the women's champion. She's interim champion, which whatever. I mean, she's carrying the strap. I get it. Way to bury Rio. Way to bury Nyla Rose. Way to bury Sheeta. How dare, like, what the hell?
That's champion the women's division's ever had.
I get that being a knock on Britt Baker, because that's who she's feuding with. She's feuding with Britt Baker, a former champion. Yeah. But unintentionally, you're burying those three.
And Thunder.
So I wasn't crazy about it in general. I don't know. I didn't like this. And like we talked, why didn't more women show up? If I'm Rio, not that Rio is probably even here. I don't know what's going on with Rio. But if I'm Sheeta, if I'm Nyla Rose, if I'm anybody else, why would I come out if you're saying this is who's better than me when I was carrying it before you even got here? The women's side, the heels, it makes sense who came. I mean, Penelope Ford didn't make sense, but at the same time, they needed the heel numbers just to balance out for the lumberjack match. But yeah, this could have been a lot better. I'm willing to give Saraya the benefit. I want to see her, warm up a little bit more, get a little more acquainted with a mic and the freedom that mic brings. But this was bad, in my opinion. I'm hoping for better. And man, I really want to talk about the match too, because man, did I not care.
Yeah, we'll get there in a second. Chad, I can only imagine you're going to say the same thing here, if not maybe be harsher.
Absolutely harsher. James is so nice. This was ass. End of the day, I mean, I don't even know how much more I can say. This is ass. As he said, this is a regurgitated WWE promo. It was trash. I mean, I love that she's here and mixing it up. I'm gonna cringe every time she wrestles, as I said before, because I'm super duper scared. But it was just literally, me and Tony are better than everybody here, and when I get in the ring, I'll show you. It just, I don't know. It wasn't good for me on either side. I mean, I respected Britt's side more because it was a rebuttal. But yeah, this one didn't touch me at all. Just didn't do it for me.
And even Britt's wasn't that good. Like, it was okay.
Hers wasn't good either. It was a rebuttal, so it made sense. But the whole thing, as you said before, it was kind of janky. It didn't work for me.
Yeah, the timing was all off. There was no chemistry between anybody talking. Which, I mean, granted, they've never had a promo together before, but still. And I mean, Britt got a couple decent shots in. The neck whip was fine, but it was
psoriasis. Really, we're just like, come on.
Yeah, like. Whatever. This was whatever. And as for the match, it was Toni Storm versus Serena Deeb in what was now a lumberjack match. for the AEW Interim Women's Championship. And literally the first thing I wrote was, okay, I guess we're here now. So I guess we're here now. All the women stayed around the ring except Saraya. She went up to commentary where she was actually a lot better there than she was in the ring. Mm-hmm. So I'm
not even being funny. I think it has to do with being a Twitch streamer.
That's possible.
I think she's more comfortable with it. Like, I think she's more comfortable with a headset. I think she's more comfortable, like, talking with people, like having a conversation about what's going on than actually just presenting.
Well, then put a headset on that girl every week, if that's the case.
Jesus, probably.
I mean, do any of us really honestly want to see Paige wrestle at this point?
If she's healthy, yes. I want to see her have the return that Edge had. I want to see her have the return that Bryan had. I want to see her have the return that Sheamus had. But if she's forcing it, no, I'd rather her not be allowed to wrestle than risk something worse.
Okay, I'll take that. I agree.
Yeah, I agree as well. And James, I also think part of her being on commentary too was she wasn't addressing the crowd. You know, there's a lot of nerves there for her. I mean, she even admitted it. And I think going back up to commentary, she was, like you said, she was probably a lot more comfortable. And she's not talking to anybody except really commentary. You know, at least in terms of, you know, what you can see. So I think that's why she was much more comfortable and she was a lot better up there.
I completely agree.
Yeah. Anyway, this match had both everything you expected from a Serena Deeb versus Toni Storm match and everything you expected from a lumberjack match. And that's how I'm going to sum it up. The highlight points were at a certain point, Jamie Hayter tripped Toni up as she was hitting the ropes and pulled her out of the ring. Sky Blue came over to confront Hater and got knocked the fuck out.
It was so awkward, though. She ran up to Jamie and then just stood there for a second because Jamie only had so much time to physically react. So she was like, yeah.
Yeah, like she stepped to her like, what are you gonna do? And Jamie knocked her the fuck out.
Yeah.
To much applause, by the way. Jamie also got a chant during the promo. So Jamie Hager, very over. That face turn is coming quicker than you think. And then Willow Nightingale ran over and started a hockey brawl and chased Jamie all the way to the back. And now they have a match on Rampage. Deeb kicked out of a Storm Zero, which, okay. Yeah. And then the match ended with Deeb climbing to the top rope. Toni chased her up, and after some hand fighting up there, Toni hits a fucking avalanche pile driver, which was pretty sweet, and got the win. So other than that, this match was meh, which is just, it wasn't meh. It was just everything I was expecting it to be. And I don't really have much on it other than that ending was cool and Jamie Hayter's over as fuck.
No, I agree. Tonight was the night of finishers not being finishers.
Yep. Chad?
Every night in AEW is finishers not being finishers. I've almost had enough. I'm near wit's end with this shit where I see a finisher and someone doesn't get pinned. Also, again, you guys are being completely optimistic. This match was ass. Coming from a Serena Deeb fan, I love Serena Deeb. This match was not good. And it's making me revert my decision to where I thought Toni Storm was growing. And again, this week she was pretty mid.
I like Toni. It's just
I do like her.
I like her as a person, but I'm just not crazy about her ring work. And when you said it last week, I was like, I was there. I didn't care. Like this was the match where I got to relax a little bit because she was there.
I don't know. I don't want her to be a bathroom break. I swear I don't. And she's just leaning into that for me. I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's the truth. It's the truth.
I will respectfully disagree, but I will agree that this match didn't really do it. And it was disappointing because, I think Toni can go, and obviously Deeb can go. And I don't know if it was just a chemistry thing or what. This match, it was slow paced. And just it wasn't great, and that was disappointing. And frankly, the Lumberjacks didn't add much to it, so it is what it is. All right.
Also, isn't this a Lumberjill match?
Well,
that was bothering me a little bit.
Taz mentioned it, and Saraya shut his ass down almost jokingly, but I don't know. I guess they're just going lumberjack for in total.
Admittedly, I think even WWE got rid of the lumberjill thing and went with the like they've turned it into the lumberjack too.
Okay, I'm old. Forgive me.
The deal, like I don't think it's that big a deal. Like I get more upset with like I don't know why they still call it an Iron Man match for the women. I think it's fine to call it an Iron Woman match, but
agreed.
The lumberjill thing, I understand. Like I don't think that's an actual thing. You know, like
if you're a female lumberjack, you're a lumberjack. Yeah, you're a lumberjack. Exactly. Like so, it's not. Jack doesn't come from the name; it comes from I don't know. I guess you jacking lumber.
Oh, the title of okay,
reason,
makes sense.
But,
cool.
Yeah, so it's a lumberjack match. I think WWE did that just on some like PC ridiculousness, and then whatever
makes sense.
All right. Anyway, let's move it on to the Acclaimed. Scissor me, daddy ass. Next week is National Scissor Day. The Acclaimed want everybody to bring their scissors next week. I don't think they mean actual scissors. I think they mean like the big paper ones and the signs.
No, don't interpret for them. They said bring your scissors,
and then have them get confiscated by security at the door.
That's the fine. You know, it's
in DC. Good luck. Anyway, and the Acclaimed also have an open challenge for their titles on Rampage. So I guess go watch that if you want to see the Acclaimed this week. Keith Lee comes up to them and says he was going to congratulate the Acclaimed, but upon watching back the match, he can see why Swerve is upset and not there because Billy Gunn got physically involved in the match. He called him out on it, said the Acclaimed got carried. And then as he walks away, Billy says, tell Swerve I got 2 words for him, scissor me, and there we go. James, you're right. I don't know if they did it specifically, but
it was the long game, baby.
It was the long game to get Billy to be able to say, I got 2 words for you again.
Mm-hmm.
I would also like to say I like the fact that Keith Lee has a justifiable complaint.
Yeah.
You know, like he's a babyface, but he's a competitor and he has every right to be upset about Billy Gunn getting involved last week because the argument can be made they only lost because Billy Gunn got involved.
True.
So I liked how this played out. He doesn't look like a punk. He doesn't look like I'm just happy to be here, you know? So I really did appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a very good point. I love Keith Lee, man.
I do too.
Me too.
After that, we came back from commercial to the Andrade family office backstage in a big argument. The Butcher and Blade are really pissed at Private Party after what happened in the Battle Royal last week on Rampage at Grand Slam. Jose, the assistant's trying to break it up, but Andrade comes over and calms everyone down. He's really pissed at Private Party. Obviously, they had their big moment with Matt Hardy last week. So Andrade walks Butcher and Blade away and tells Jose to handle it. Jose tells Private Party that basically need to get their shit together because they're pissing everybody off and they need to shape up or get shipped out. Basically, get it together or you're getting fired. So Private Party about to walk away when Shivani actually stops them in a rare moment where he's actually going to say something profound and then gets interrupted he got interrupted by Matt Hardy.
They just want to give Matt Hardy that heel heat, don't they? It's not even fair.
Matt tells them that what happened last week in the Battle Royal felt right, that Andrade has been worse for their careers than Big Money Matt ever was, and that they should get out of their contracts and come back with him so they could do it right this time. So I hope this happens. I love Private Party. I've really liked them since the beginning. I think most of that was from their early skits on BTE, and then they beat the Bucks in the tournament in the first couple of weeks of AEW, and it was awesome. And now they have really, really slipped down the card, so it's good to see them hopefully getting back to something and getting pushed again. After that, we had Ricky Starks versus Eli Isom, and this ended in a minute, so I'm not even going to recap it, but Ricky's over as fuck.
Yep.
We had a quick promo package on the Christian. I almost called him Christian Saurus. Christian and Luchasaurus.
Coin it. TM. That's it. Christian Saurus.
Christian Saurus.
We did it. First there was Bailey and the Huggers, then there was Christian Soros. That's what killed the dinosaurs. Religion.
Put on a t-shirt.
Oh my god.
Or Canadians, I don't know.
So yes, there was recapping the Christian Shores versus Jungle Boy feud. And then we come to the main event of the evening, the aforementioned
event.
Thank you. The Chris Jericho versus Bandito match for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Jericho starts by ignoring the Code of Honor and flipping Bandito off. Bandito, right after the first commercial break, did a delayed vertical suplex for like a minute. And
not an exaggeration, guys. An actual minute.
Yeah, he held it for like a minute. And then including 30 seconds of him doing it one-handed and counting.
Chad, how did he look? How did he look when he hit it?
He was shaking like a fucking stripper. However, he got it done. Get her done. He did.
Get her done.
He did it. It was really cool. And then after the second commercial break, Bandito appeared to, I guess he fucked his nose up. And obviously he has the mask with the bandana coming down.
Yeah.
So some would say he looked like Zorro.
Which is weird because that's not a Zorro mask, but
it's more Lone Ranger. But
no, it's not really... Lone Ranger either, because Lone Ranger didn't really wear the bandana. He wore the mask here too.
Right.
I was trying to. No, he looks like you think Vigilante from the Justice League Unlimited cartoons.
That's actually really good. No, it's not even him. It's Grifter.
No, Vig in JLU, because
I know who you're talking about.
But... yeah, because he has the red one in JLU.
Yeah, no? But he has the white hat. But I was just trying to think.
All right, all right, it's close. No, I'll give it to you.
I'm splitting hairs here.
Yeah, we are.
Anyway, it was all bloody because I guess he fucked his nose up or something. I don't know if he broke it or Jericho just bloodied it with that straight right hand on the apron. But either way, he was bleeding. It looked cool, honestly. I'm sure it hurt like a bitch, but it was a good visual. Eventually, Jericho countered an X-knee into the walls of Jericho. Bandito is very slowly but surely able to crawl to the ropes. And then he moves his way out of the ring towards the apron, but Jericho suplexes him back into the ring over the top rope by using the bottom rope as leverage. And then Jericho goes up high, but Bandito meets him up there and hits Jericho with like a moonsault fall-away slam. It was sick. It was absolutely awesome.
That was amazing.
But Bandito is barely able to make a cover, and Jericho is able to kick out. Bandito recovers. He's able to hit the X-knee and then the 21 plex, which I guess are his finishers or something. But this is my first, not to dismiss Bandito. This is my first time seeing him. But Jericho kicked out again, or I guess my first time seeing him since All In, but I barely remember that. Jericho then pokes Bandito's eye and pulls his mask so that he can't really see. He goes in for the walls, but Bandito is able to counter into a quick roll-up. Jericho kicks out of that. He then locks in the Lion Tamer, and the blinded Bandito, who's actually very close to the rope, as they pointed out on commentary, has to tap out. After the match, Jericho has Ring of Honor ring announcer, which is very difficult to say, but very fun. Bobby Cruz come into the ring and announce his win, and then cuts a promo saying that he's going to destroy Ring of Honor in favor of Ring of Jericho by taking out every former champ, starting with Bryan Danielson, every Ring of Honor ref, every Ring of Honor announcer, and every Ring of Honor ring announcer. And then Bobby Cruz looked at him all funny and got hit with a Judas effect. And that's how he went off the air. So James, former Ring of Honor talent, now a member of All Elite Wrestling, I will go to you first. Tony Khan, I think, obviously has a plan here with Ring of Honor by making Jericho the most anti-Ring of Honor person possible. So obviously I want you to talk about the match, what you think about it, but I also want to know what you think of Tony Khan's supposed plan here.
I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'll be very honest. I enjoy Tony Khan's booking more often than I don't. So maybe I am a little biased. I do think his booking caters to me a little bit more than I'd say other companies do currently. I love this idea of Jericho as champion if there is a TV show coming.
Yeah.
If there is a TV show coming, or even a rebranding of a pre-existing TV show, whether that's Rampage. Ring of Honor Rampage sounds perfect. I don't know about anybody else, but Ring of Honor Rampage.
That sounds good.
Got a nice, got a good ring to it, and some nice alliteration.
Or it's all about the alliteration. Or even if you go, I'm a big proponent that I think out the gate, Ring of Honor should be a YouTube show, because I don't know if there's an audience or a mainstream audience for Ring of Honor on TV. But I think,
or a channel for that matter.
Yeah. But I think they would strive. Like, I think they would really hit their stride on the internet. And I think if they took over Dark, or if they took over Dark Elevation, they could really build an audience that way. But all that said, Jericho as champion is good in a lot of ways, because it does elevate the Ring of Honor title. Don't get me wrong. I loved Claudio as champion. I am glad to say Claudio Castagnoli is now a world champion, has been a world champion. But I can't say him being champion elevated the title. I think it elevated him more than he elevated it. Jericho will elevate that belt. It feels important now that Jericho is holding it. Agreed. I want to see who's going to take the title off him. I want it to be Bryan, which is why I'm worried that Bryan versus Jericho is being booked or is being teased so early, because I don't know that it makes sense to take the title off Jericho so early. But I will literally start to cry if Bryan loses another big match.
Yeah.
So a lot to mull over there. Again. Go ahead, please.
I was saying, I also think Bryan should probably be the final boss of this entire endeavor. You know, if he's going to be taking out every former Ring of Honor champion he can find, you know, and there are some of them on the roster, though we don't know when certain ones of them are going to be back, i.e. Adam Cole, baby.
Yeah.
But, you know, if he's going to be doing that, Bryan Danielson is the final boss of Ring of Honor, at least the most obvious one.
There are so many matches that they can do with former Ring of Honor champions. Before he was gone, Voldemort, Punk would have been a great revisiting of Jericho versus Punk. Samoa Joe versus Chris Jericho. I don't know that's a match that's been done yet.
Interesting.
Jericho versus Dalton Castle makes me salivate.
Need it.
I am. Oh my God! Please just give it to me.
And the
Jericho.
boys.
I mean, is there anything more sports entertaining than the boys? I don't know. Jericho versus Jay Briscoe is a match that they could run.
Can I also get like the boys versus 2.0, like on the side?
I mean, that's not really fair to 2.0. Like, the boys are just a whole nother level of greatness. So I don't know why you would want to see 2.0 get buried. But yeah, you have Jay Lethal versus Jericho, which again could be sports entertaining as hell. You could do Adam Cole. You could do Kyle O'Reilly when he comes back. Christopher Daniels versus Chris Jericho would be good. Two like veterans of Ring of Honor.
Was Kaz a Ring of Honor champion?
No, he was never a Ring of Honor champion. He's won titles in Ring of Honor, but he was not the Ring of Honor world champion.
Well, I mean, you can still take him out on the way.
Exactly.
He gets sideswiped after the CD match.
So there's a lot you could do here, and I agree. Bryan being the final boss of this endeavor would be fantastic, but I don't see them going that way. I think we're just going to get Bryan now.
I hate to interrupt you, but out of nowhere, Danny Hernandez has joined the Zoom at the last possible minute. Hello, Danny.
So we're just sunglasses guys now, huh?
Look at this douche.
Oh. Well, Danny, of course, is joining and is frozen. So, James, you may continue with your point about the match.
So I don't want to get too much into the weeds of everything, because it's not really.
They're in my desk.
Oh my God. Okay. I don't even have any.
What is this? Top Gun? I don't have any either.
No, it's not Top Gun. That was last Halloween.
Oh shit! Right.
But I will say this. I think this main event was incredible. I think Bandito is an incredible wrestler. I think every major spot that he had in this match was incredible. And it makes me want to see him sign to AEW very badly. It makes me want to see if he's going to stick with Ring of Honor. I want to see Ring of Honor have a show very soon because I want more Bandito. He's that good, and it's a shame that he's not on TV more. He was in the main event of All In.
Right, he teamed with Ray and who else?
Ray and Ray Phoenix.
Ray Phoenix, yeah. Well, yeah.
And,
so the Rays.
Yeah, the Rays. Yeah, he teamed with the Rays against the Young Bucks and Kota.
Show your jersey.
Yeah, exactly. Wrong spelling. Wrong spelling.
But he could have signed with AEW. They wanted to sign him to AEW, but he was a little apprehensive, and he took a safer route, which was Ring of Honor. And I don't blame a guy for wanting to take a safer route, but it did kind of cost him a little bit. So he
did well there, though.
He did. He became a Ring of Honor world champion, but who knows where he'd be in his career if he signed with AEW.
True.
So I'm happy to see him now. This was a great match. Jericho looked great. Bandito looked great. All the spots were great. I'm a little about the finish. When he went for the Lion Tamer after messing with the mask the first time, it made sense, but Bandito countered it. So I don't know why he would go for the same move twice.
He went for the walls first, I thought, and then he went for the Lion Tamer. At least that's what commentary said.
They did say it that way, as if it were two different moves. I mean, and it is technically.
Yeah.
But
potato. It's the same thing. It's just why I would have gone with the Judas effect. I would have gone with the Code Breaker, but they did what they did. It was a good match. Great main event level match. Weird segment to end on. He just awkwardly was standing in the ring after taking out a ring announcer. Not a lot there. And it's not even a ring announcer that people are inclined to love. Like, I like Bobby Cruise a lot, but I've been a Ring of Honor fan for a long, long time. If you're an AEW fan who's only casually into Ring of Honor, there's no heat there.
Yeah. I'm curious to know, depending on that women's segment, if it went over. Paige did call out the timer guy, so unless she was just doing that, Saraya, but
psoriasis.
Yeah,
psoriasis.
I mean, perhaps like they just ran out of time and they got that in as quickly as possible. I didn't even mention Jericho botching that promo,
but they went past the 10 o'clock mark.
Oh, no, I guess they had to get out of there as quickly as possible because they did that. They got the angle in and they just like, we got to shut it off, guys. All right. Mom and dad are gonna come downstairs and yell at us because we're 30 seconds past our bedtime here. Well, I don't know. But I agree with you on Bandito. The dude's awesome, and depending on what his status is, I would like to see more of him in AEW.
I think he's signed to Ring of Honor.
Okay, so that's cool. So yeah, if he ends up on that show, that'd be awesome. Danny, are you with us?
I'm always with you.
Yeah, there he is. I don't know why you joined now, but what do you have to say, I guess?
Let's fucking go. Mets of Eduardo Escobar, 5 RBIs, all 5 runs driven in, walking it off in the bottom of the 10th. Let's fucking go. The guy
Escobar season.
Wasted 5 months of our fucking lives, but he has made up for it in 1 month. Oh my God. What a night. Oh my God.
And Atlanta lost. We're back a game up going into the series with them.
Let's go Washington, bro. The teams that are out of it will beat you when you're not expecting it because that's all they have to play for, And let's go. Aaron Judge hit a home run. Good for you guys, Yankee fans. Hey.
Yankee ends AL home run record, single season home run record.
Yeah, Yankee fans are most likely to call the cops on a group of teenagers they see out in public, but Aaron Judge is a good dude making history, and I won't deny that. That's pretty awesome, But AEW was okay, right? It was okay this week. I don't know about you guys, but I thought it was okay. I didn't see it, but I'm pretty confident in saying
I hate this guy.
He's telling me right now.
I think the word for it was okay, which we will get to in a second. But Chad, I would like to hear your thoughts on the main event before we do a bit of a more overall.
The main event made everything that was okay before much better. I think the main event was almost perfect, besides the fact that James said earlier with the finish. Other than that, oh man, that fucking Bandito guy. This is like, I've seen, I think, highlights of him before, but I've never seen like a full match. And boy, was this a clinic. It was a showcase for me. I want to see him all the time. All the time, period. Jericho is as good as Jericho is. I mean, he does what he does, period. He looked great. Nothing else, really.
Yeah. James, I guess to your point about the finish, it would make sense if he hit a Judas effect on a blinded opponent.
Yeah, that's what, kind of.
Yeah, but I think they were trying to save the sudden Judas effect for hitting Bobby Cruz. Yeah, so I think that's why they went that way with it.
Codebreaker.
To Bobby Cruz.
James, I know that they don't work.
Codebreakers, yeah. I mean, he hit one earlier in the match. He hit one off the top rope.
Fine.
It's not what it once was, which is
I hate that move got nerfed. I hate it.
So do
I hate it too. I hate it too, but
he could have done the fucking skull crushing finale.
That's not a finisher. What the fuck? That's
didn't Jericho do that one time though?
He has a move that's very much like the skull crushing finale, but he hasn't hit it in years.
But it was his finisher for like
it was like
months,
it was like a signature. It was like a signature. He won a title with it.
Exactly.
Or at the very least defended a title with it. But it has been a long time since he's used that move.
I know.
It'd be cool if he brought it back out, but I guess out of respect for Liz, he doesn't.
The skull crushing finale isn't gonna protect you from a sexual predator that's trying to kidnap you. So
Jesus,
it's not really a finisher, right?
If it also helps, Jericho's version of it was way more like Jeff Jarrett's stroke than it was Mrs. Skull Crushing finale.
Yeah,
but it was very
I know it's the name of the move, but Jeff Jarrett's stroke doesn't
Hey yo,
fucked up things on this show, but I feel like that's somehow the most fucked up.
I didn't name it. I didn't name it.
That's true, but you said it with that mustache, so
what can I say? I'm a Dexter Loomis fan.
Dexter Loomis, as he's known.
2 minutes.
He said the thing.
They're related. They're related. I'm pretty sure that's the story they were going for.
Why did I?
Anyway, sorry I've hijacked the show. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you guys were almost done. I just got home. I wanted to come in and say hi. I think I showed up pretty good timing wise, considering how famous we are. I feel like you just got to show up to things late now.
Yeah.
So
Fame's getting to his head, guys.
It helps out a little bit. It's tough. I mean, dude, have you guys not gone to the supermarket lately? It's so much more difficult now. It's crazy.
Well, I go upstate, so a lot less people than there are in the city, and it's cheaper.
Makes sense. Upstate.
The sunglasses also help. They I couldn't recognize you guys for a bit.
But yeah, hat and the sunglasses always help. So Chad, James, I'll start with you. I think we said in the chat this is kind of a filler episode, but all things considered, with that, it was still a pretty solid episode.
It was. It was. I was unenthused towards the beginning, but like I said, the main event boosted it a lot for me, so it turned out to be pretty fine.
Yeah, James, do you agree?
Lots of good wrestling. It was a fun filler show, and I think next week is the anniversary show. So next week is definitely going to feel a lot more important.
Anniversary or what?
Dynamite.
Didn't October 2nd started?
No, roughly.
Definitely. Yeah, something like that.
Roughly. I think it's just the closest that they can get to it,
Yeah. That's fair. That's good. That's cool. Yeah, so overall okay show. We all agree we're on the same page. You guys were wrong about the women's title stuff. There was no good champions before Britt, but that's okay.
I strongly disagree.
Hard to disagree, but we don't have time for that. Also, I think I accidentally skipped the part where Hangman came out after.
You absolutely did.
Yes, after the Moxley Juice Robinson match, Hangman came out for a stare down. They stood to eye to eye for a couple of moments. Then Hangman backed away and started taking shit out of his pockets like he was going to fight him. MJF, who was up in his skybox, grabbed a mic and said that they shouldn't be fighting each other because they're not fighting each other. They're just fighting to lose to him because he's a generational talent. And then Wheeler Yuta appeared behind him, and Wheeler kicked the absolute shit out of MJF, tossing him over a couch. and then into the bleachers before security finally pulled Wheeler off, which I think actually really helped Wheeler following that promo earlier.
Absolutely.
Yes, agreed.
He got a massive
Agreed.
pop for that.
Yeah,
I
it
have a
really
question.
brought everything home.
Go ahead, Danny.
What stuff was Hangman taking out of his pockets?
It looked like his wallet and his
Wallet,
keys and shit.
Like,
Maybe his phone.
All right.
first of all, the
Probably
dude
not his
had,
phone. He threw it on the floor.
he had on a pink shirt and pink roses on his jeans. He
That
looked
was
badass as fuck.
Yeah.
Like
Nice.
real
Oh,
men
Nick.
wear pink.
Oh,
Period.
Nick.
He looked
all
great.
day.
That
all
whole,
day.
that shit was.
He did look
amazing.
great. He
Yeah,
did
he
look
looked.
great.
Yeah, he always.
He
looks
really
good.
did. He looked like.
And
a
I'm glad
boss.
that he got a good pop. Like people were actually chanting for Hangman. They were chanting cowboy shit.
I'll just do this for the Nick that's not here. And man, how much cooler would this been if both these fucking losers didn't lose to Punk, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Welp, they did.
All right, and on that disappointment, back to the tent. Well, but actually, on that disappointment, I would like to thank everybody so much for watching and dealing with my voice here. I'm not sure how that came across, but
That's actually fine.
You
Actually,
sound
fine.
thank
quite
you.
normal, sir.
I'm definitely running out of steam here, though, so I'm gonna do my best to wrap this up. Like I said, thank you everybody so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. We have gained a multitude of subscribers in the last couple of weeks, mostly because James did a thing at Grand Slam that
Had nothing to do with me.
We
You guys
can't-
were
we
killing
can't
it
talk
on the
about-
live.
but we can't talk about that. So for all of us who have subscribed, thank you. For all of us who haven't, please do. You'll be able to get wonderful content like this, along with all of our other shows, including Danny recapping Raws. James usually handles Impact. Chad occasionally does a NXT when he feels like it.
Occasionally.
Keyword.
And obviously we do pay-per-views and everything, plus weekly episodes and clips when we have the capacity to do so. So be sure to check all that stuff out. Be sure to check out our social media stuff, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Danny will get me that TikTok link at some point. So no, that's almost becoming a bit now at this point. But be sure to check all that stuff out. It will be in the description below. And
Tell them
Yeah.
what happens when we hit 420 subscribers.
I don't know if we legally can.
well, we are not in. I think in the state of New York, we're good. We're at least good enough.
I guess that's fair.
2 people apparently will be doing one of the shows high. I don't know who those 2 people are.
Just
They-
say stoned if you're that scared.
Oh, I said hi. Is
Sounded
not.
hesitant.
I can tell you, it's not going to be me. I'll do it drunk, but it's not going to be me.
You've never done that before.
So yeah, so spin the wheel of contestants. You can add You can add Nick onto that wheel too,
What are
and
you,
guess.
what are you guys fucking 12? Like, actually, no, 12-year-olds would do it because they're not wimps. Sheesh.
Anyway,
Okay.
Thanks, kids.
yeah, let's go. My voice. Thank you, everybody. We will be here next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. So for Danny Hernandez, a late arriving Danny Hernandez, Chad Big Bad Johnson, and James Asante, my name is Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you here next time here on the Market Down Pod.